All right, so here we go using some properties of integrals. All right, so so what we're going to do is we're going to use these given values to find these right here, right? And remember that we have a whole set of properties that we're going to use, right? And so let me actually pull those up. All right, so here's our properties. So let's start with this first one here. So we want to find the integral from 2 to 16, right? And we're given these right here. So we want to find one that ends at 16, right? And we want to find one that starts at 2, right? And hopefully, if things work out, they meet up in the middle, and that's the case, right? So so that works. So what this is going to equal is the integral from 2 to 11 plus the integral from 11 to 16, right? And that'll equal the total integral, and that's using this property here, right? As long as, if you want to go from a to b, you can add a to c, the integral from a to c with the integral from c to b, and that'll equal the integral from a to b. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. And so we know that just from what we have here, that the integral from 11 to 2 is 9, right? So we're going to do 9 plus, and then the integral from 11 to 16 is 21. So we're going to do plus 21, and that equals 30. All right. Okay, so next we have the integral from -5 to 2, right? So so with this one, we have one that starts at -5, and we have one that starts at 2, but we don't have one that that ends at 2, right? So this one is actually a subtraction one. This one, we know that actually this is the larger integral, right? So we know that the integral from, let me see, sorry. We know that the integral from, and I'll just shorthand here, -5 to 11 equals the integral from -5 to 2 plus the integral from 2 to 11, right? So if we want to find this, the integral from -5 to 2, we can subtract the integral from 2 to 11 from both sides, right? And what we'll end up with is that the integral from -5 to 2, excuse me, did that backwards, is equal to the integral from -5 to 11 minus the integral from 2 to 11, right? So that's what this equals right here. This is the integral from -5 to 11 of f of x dx minus the integral from 2 to 11 f of x dx. Okay, and this one, -5 to 11, that integral is -14 minus the integral from 2 to 11 is 9. So I'm going to put 9. So it's -14 minus 9, which is -23. So that's the answer there. All right, next we have the integral from 16 to 11. So this one, we have one from 11 to 16, but we flip these around backwards, right? So if we look right here, if we flip the a and the b, the endpoints or the bounds or the parameters of the integral, then that changes the sign of the integral. Okay, and so this is just going to equal the opposite of the integral from 11 to 16, right? And since that was 21, this will be -21. All right, so that's the answer for part C. Now part D has a lot going on. This one, we have 3 in front, so we can use our constant rule here to just bring the constant to the front, right, and just multiply the constant by the integral. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm just going to put the 3 in the front, go from negative 5 to 16 of f of x dx. Then negative 5 to 16 is going to be this one plus this one, right? Using the same rule that we used on part A. So it'll be 21 plus negative 14, which will be 7, right? So this is going to equal 3 times 7. And so that'll be 21, positive 21. Okay. All right. And then finally, we have this one from 4 to 4. This one's tricky because we don't have any 4s here, right? Like these, none of these have any 4s as endpoints or parameters. And so we just have to remember that when A and B are the same, that's this first one here. When our endpoints or parameters are the same, that means we're just going to get 0, right? So this one's actually the easiest one. We don't have to do any calculating. It's just going to be 0. All right, so that's how to use our integral properties to evaluate different integrals, even if we're not given the actual value of the function. As long as we're given some values of those integrals, we can use those in conjunction with one another along with our properties to find unknown values, okay? All right, let me know if you have any questions and keep those requests coming.